Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Hi and welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. Hope you're all keeping safe and managing through your people to get the results you're judged on. Please, if you could do me a massive favour and rate the Manager Matt podcast show wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others find the cast and hopefully improve their leadership skills and management over time. And as always, please don't forget to drop me a line on whatever you want to engage on. I love feedback on the show and you can get me at managermattpodcast@gmail.com. So without any further delay, let's get on with this week's show. This week's show, I want to look at a branch of science involved in the way we see the world, our mindsets. It's called positive psychology. The science of positive psychology, or the science of happiness as some people refer to it, looks at the reasons why we are happy instead of the traditional approach of reasons of why we're not happy. It looks at how we can alter our perspective on life with the ups and downs for our best results. In positive psychology, there's a calculation where it works out how happy or unhappy you might be. The idea is that, of course, no one can be 100% happy all the time. This wouldn't be normal, it wouldn't be typical, and would indeed lead to a problem in itself. As a 100% happy person may have some sort of behaviour disorders and issues behind it. So, there's also the fact that your emotions change. We know that some days you have really great days and others you don't. That's normal. And I'm not here to judge anyone's mental health. There's always going to be emotions that we face in life. So we can appreciate that there will be swings of good and bad days. But being a science, positive psychology has tried to design a way of formulating this, or in this case, using a ratio to work out how happy or unhappy you might be. The idea of the ratio is, of course, it is to compound good and bad events against each other to work out your ratio. Now, the optimum ratio by the scientists is a 3-to-1, good to bad, or positive to happy events that happen through your worldview. This is a rough estimate, and naturally some events have much, much larger impacts than others. But the ratio is a very useful guide. And according to the experts, 80% of us don't hit this 3-to-1 ratio. And this got me thinking. In the business world, what gets measured gets done, if a famous quote we all use. So if we record and monitor our happiness, can we do something to improve it? A happiness KPI, if you like. But as with all KPIs, they need to be actually driving results. So why is it important to be happy? And why should we care if our workforce is pleased at work? Or do we really care if our ratio scores are poor away from work? Well, in my world, I have no doubt that a happy, engaged people leads to productivity. And on the reverse, an unhappy people lead to poor performance and, of course, results. And as we said before, managers are judged on results. So if we can improve our happiness scores, surely we can improve our results. Now, the hard part of this measurement is happiness itself. It's not easy to work out that ratio. If you think about production lines or number of sales through a till, very simple calculations. Number of time it takes to make an item. So there's some of the raw data type KPIs. But can we see through other people's eyes? Can we see their emotions? No. You have some people who have a really good poker face. And when you ask them, you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. You know, we always get that one when you've taught someone in the locker rooms or in the coffee place or the smoke sheds. You okay? Yeah, not too bad. It's going okay. And how do we judge that person really against our happiness scores? So I think the best way to try and measure happiness to others is to understand your own happiness ratio. Do you ever know what your actual own KPI check-in is when it comes to this? I would probably say not. Actually, until I started looking at positive psychology, I wouldn't have even thought of ratios as a way of measuring it. So, and of course, there's some actions that you can take when you see that ratio moving. But I guess the first thing is, how do we measure the ratio? What is a happy action and what is a sad action? there's some good ways of looking at it. The other day, I was trying to record my own ratio, using the idea of having a measured sort of way of approaching it. And I sort of started to write down things that made me happy. What made me pleasure? Was it taking a walk with the dogs? Yeah, that's a great happy thing. Is it spending time with the family? Doing family things? That's great. Is it playing a board game? Or interacting and making a podcast? Of course, that's fun. And on the other side, what's bringing you down? What could affect your mental ability to be happy? Sometimes it might be a big event like your tooth falls out or a filling comes out. Or it could be something as simple as you're stuck in traffic. From that, you can then formulate a simple ratio of how well you're doing in that day around good and bad ratios. And of course, with all KPIs, in business and in life, what can I do to change that ratio? Is there things that I can do positively to affect my ratio? Well, naturally, if it's doing more walking with a dog or spending time with the kids, yes, you can to some extent move those dials the right way. But on others, if you're going to get stuck in the traffic, well, you get stuck in traffic. Not much you can do about it. Maybe set off earlier. Maybe walk to work if it's possible. Or, if you are going to get stuck in traffic or your commute is so long, then why not engage in other things like listening to a course material, a podcast, maybe Manager Matt. Great one to start with. That can then change that negative into a positive, because the time that you would always have to spend in the traffic is now spent doing something more enjoyable. Well, that's my thoughts on positive ratios, and I'm really interested to think what you think about it. So, remember, I'm always up for feedback. It's both good, bad, indifferent, so please give me that feedback. It's a gift. Email it to managermattpodcast@gmail.com. Remember, I answer all the emails myself and would love to engage on new and old topics. And remember, don't forget the website, www.managermatt.co.uk. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.